Hey, what's up guys? This is Johan. Welcome to another episode of Graz's Kitchen. Today we will be making ribs, not just your average ribs, but smoked and grilled to perfection pork ribs with a Filipino taste. If you enjoy the smokiness and tenderness of American ribs, but crave that unbeatable taste of Filipino barbecue you grew up eating, you will definitely want to stick around for this. Before we start, if you guys are into easy-to-follow cooking videos like this one, please don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on anything. And it wouldn't hurt to hit that like button as well. It's a free way for you guys to help out our channel in reaching more people and in pumping out better content. So once again, please help us grow by leaving a thumbs up down below. This dish will require several more steps than our usual straightforward recipe, so let's waste no more time and just get right into it. First, we prepare all of the necessary ingredients which, along with the measurements, are already listed down for you in the description box below. As you can see, we have some brown sugar, banana or tomato ketchup, lemon lime soda, soy sauce, garlic powder, ground black pepper, paprika, white vinegar, pork bouillon cube, sea salt, unsalted butter, and the star of the show, the ribs. We are using spare ribs, but you can utilize St. Louis style ribs or baby back ribs as well if you prefer. Before adding anything to the meat, make sure to remove the silver skin or membrane from the bottom of the ribs for better exposure of the meat to the marinade and easier adhesion of the marinade to the meat. Okay, now that that's done and over with, let's start creating the marinade for the ribs by first pouring in the white vinegar and about half a cup of lemon lime soda. I know, weird, but trust me, it adds a touch of tangy sweetness to the flavor. Then add in the soy sauce and pork bouillon cube. To effectively dissolve and distribute the pork cube, put it in the microwave for 30 seconds along with the soy sauce and then manually dissolve with a spoon. Now, let's create the dry rub by mixing together in a bowl the brown sugar, sea salt, paprika, ground black pepper, and garlic powder. Thoroughly mix together until seemingly uniform and homogeneous. Afterwards, generously season the pork ribs with a dry rub. I repeat, generously season the ribs with the rub. Utilize every remaining dust and cover every inch of the exterior of the meat, as we want every bite to have the same amount of flavor. After we've concluded the initial seasoning phase, we shall begin the smoking process. Preheat the smoker to 250 degrees Fahrenheit and add in the wood chips of your choice. We've used hickory, but you may go with applewood, oak, or even a combination of those woods. Lay the ribs down directly onto the smoker. Cover and let smoke for 3 hours. And yes, the ribs have somehow magically multiplied because we've made some for our friends as well. By the way, did you know that despite the common knowledge that barbecue is an American thing and is therefore conceived in the United States, it is actually a technique originating from the Arawak people of the Caribbean? The word barbecue comes from the Spanish word barbacoa, which etymologists trace back to the word barabicu found in the language of the Arawak people. The term barbacoa was first coined and printed in paper by the Spanish explorer Gonzalo Fernández de Oviedo y Valdés back in 1526 in the second edition of Diccionario de la Lengua Española. It was after Columbus landed in the Americas that the Spaniards found Taino people roasting meat over a grill consisting of a wooden framework resting on sticks above a fire. That whole history bit was my blatant attempt at roughly paraphrasing a Wikipedia article, but I hope you've learned something as I did. Before we carry on, I'd like to mention my friend and childhood classmate Shaina, who requested for this dish to be featured in a video. Thank you, Sha, for being a regular viewer of the channel. About 3 hours have elapsed, and it is now time to retrieve the ribs from the smoke. At this point, it'll look and smell so good that you will probably want to get it done and over with and just eat your ribs like this. But don't. You will have to tenderize it further and bombard it with even more flavors. Before that, cut out 2 aluminum foil wraps with lengths of about 22 to 24 inches and stack them with a second one positioned transversely against the first one, like so. Lay the ribs along the center and evenly brush the top with ketchup as shown. Afterwards, pour in about half a cup of lemon-lime soda, spread the butter over the top of the ribs, and flip them so the meaty side faces down towards the fluids. Fold the aluminum wraps to cover the ribs using another layer of foil if needed to make sure that the meat and the fluids are entirely sealed off to minimize evaporation. This is to keep the ribs moist through another 2 hours of smoking, which we will be doing after we've completed this step. While we wait for the second phase of smoking to be over, we will now have to make the barbecue sauce to coat the ribs with. To do this, pour the remainder of the marinade into a saucepan and bring to a boil. Add in about half a cup of ketchup and continuously stir until the sauce has slightly reduced. Now, add in a tablespoon of cornstarch completely dissolved in half a cup of water. This will thicken the sauce enough to stick to the ribs while not being overly sweet and sugary like most barbecue sauces usually are. Make sure to constantly stir the sauce to avoid any sticking underneath. To this, we will add about a cup of brown sugar to add in some sweetness. Before finishing the sauce, it'll be best for you to give it a taste so you can decide for yourself if you prefer to add in a pinch or more of salt or sugar to bring the balance of flavors to your liking. After making the sauce, we can now proceed to the final process of this whole endeavor, which is the grilling of the ribs. Preheat the grill to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and then turn down the flames or heat to the lowest possible setting just before laying down the ribs. We want a low and slow grill to take place to avoid burning and drying out the meat. Generously brush the sauce we've made over the ribs. This will give us a more pronounced flavor and will aid in retaining and restoring moisture within and into the meat. Depending on how hot the grill is, flip the ribs every 3 to 5 minutes to let it cook evenly and to give us multiple opportunities to repeatedly coat it with our barbecue sauce throughout the grilling process. As we carry on, you will notice a beautiful shift in the color of the ribs. It starts off with a light orange-red tint, which gradually morphs into a darker and more appetizing appearance, streaked by those beautiful marks left by the grill. This entire process should take you about 30 minutes, but it's always best to determine with your own eyes if you are satisfied with how your ribs look or not. Thanks to our tedious smoking process, these ribs are already cooked through, so there's no need to sweat about the doneness and safety of the meat. All we gotta worry about is brushing over sufficient amounts of barbecue sauce and making sure that we try to avoid burning as much as we can. Once the ribs have come to look like what we have here, it is then pretty safe to say that we've successfully smoked and grilled some killer racks of ribs. All that's left to do is to take them out of the grill, cut them up into individual rib pieces, smother with even more of that amazing barbecue sauce, take some photos for the gram, and finally dig into these beautiful, delicious Filipino-style smoked barbecued pork ribs. For this episode, I'd like to thank Tito Pupo and his wife Tita Silvette for holding up the lights during the entire time we were shooting the grilling parts of the video. And of course, my dad Erwin, the pit master of Lehigh Valley, for taking charge of the smoking and grilling of the ribs. If you've had a good time watching this video, please don't hesitate to give us a like as it really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm to reach a larger audience. And of course, please don't forget to subscribe if these kinds of videos about food and cooking are your cup of tea, so that you don't miss any of our future uploads. Thank you for watching another episode of Graz's Kitchen. See you next time.